Our today's speaker is a very young and energetic yoga practitioner. Sister Swathi Reddy is a MPhil in textiles and PhD in integrated course in yoga. By profession, she is an assistant professor in Mount Carmel College at Bangalore. She is a freelance yoga instructor and therapist. Sister Swathi is a member of Bangalore City Lodge, and as a member of Theosophical Society, she has conducted various youth camps, children's camps, conducted programs for kids at City Lodge, and delivered many talks in many forums. Today she'll talk about yoga and spirituality. Now I welcome Sister Swathi.
Thanks a lot, Kritika. That was a nice introduction. And no, I have not yet got my PhD in yoga. I'm still doing my PhD. So on that note, I will start off my presentation for the day, Yoga and Spirituality. I hope the slides are visible to everyone. Okay, so before we start off, let's understand what is yoga and what is spirituality. So first, let's see what yoga means to all of you. So I'll just minimize the slide just to see what you think about yoga. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about yoga? Any words, and all of you can participate in this. As you mentioned, I'll just type the words here. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of yoga? Anyone can answer.
Yes.
Sorry, what is it?
Fitness.
Fitness, yes. Yes, then?
Union with God.
Union with God. Yes. Anything else?
Discipline.
Okay. Anything else?
Spiritual practice.
Yes. Then, is there anything else that you can think of? What comes to your mind first whenever you think of yoga? Anyone can participate, anyone can answer. Any two more than participants, then we'll go what is spirituality. What comes to your mind when you think of spirituality? Right now, two more people can tell me what comes to your mind first when you think of yoga.
Postures and breathing.
Okay. So what comes to your mind when you think of spirituality? This is actually a slightly tough question. It's very difficult to define spirituality in one word, but yes, whatever comes to your mind first when you think of spirituality.
Connection with God.
To see myself. To see myself.
Yes, then? You can say whatever comes to your mind. Nothing is wrong or nothing is right. It's your experience. It's your understanding of spirituality. whatever you think is spirituality, you can just say it. Anyone?
Namaste, Swathi ji.
Namaste. Sorry, I don't know who this is, but I can't see you. Yes. Any word for spirituality or a sentence that you can think of?
According to my own experience, spirituality which cannot be explained,
Okay.
which can only be experienced. Whatever the words present in the dictionary may fall short to explain that one. This is what my experience is.
Okay.
I think I have ended my sentence.
Yes. Something that cannot be explained and there is no equivalent word to it. Yes. Anything else?
Just oneness and love.
Okay. Love. Oneness. Yes. Anything else? Some of you are messaging me. You can tell it loud. Yes. Anything else you want to say? Anyone? Anyone wants to participate? Just say one last thing. Whatever comes to your mind when you think of spirituality.
Existence,
The very existence. Okay.
Sat Chitananda.
Okay. That's okay. Okay, fine. So this is what we think. Yoga means fitness, union with God, discipline, spiritual. It's a spiritual practice. It's all about postures and breathing is what we all think. And spirituality means connection with God, seeing myself, seeing oneself as they are, and something that cannot be explained. It's love, it's oneness, it's Satchit Ananda. Okay, this is what all of us think, or some of us think, and we will look into what the definitions of yoga actually is. So there are various books that gives different definitions of yoga. So Patanjali Yoga Sutra, in the very first chapter and the second verse of Patanjali Yoga Sutra of the first chapter says Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which means yoga is the elimination and annihilation and suspension of the modification of the mind. So basically it is focusing more on the mind. And Bhagavad Gita says Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, which means equanimity. No matter what kind of situation you are in, maintaining equanimity is called yoga in any situation, is what Bhagavad Gita says. Yoga Karma Kaushalam is that is 10 Upanishads among the many Upanishads that are available to us. Kathopanishad says it's a state of mastery over senses and mind. So senses, when it comes here comes only in this definition we can see body involved, the 5 senses or the senses involved and the mind also involved in this definition. Only Kathopanishad talks about physical and mental. Then you have the Sanskrit word yuj, which someone already mentioned. It's a union of Jivatma with Paramatma, or individual self with the ultimate. Yoga Vasishta says it's a skillful and a subtle process to calm down the mind. So most of the definitions, if you see here, they are all associated with the mind. So you can see Patanjali Yoga Sutras or Bhagavad Gita or Kathopanishad or Yoga Vasishta. All of these define and say that yoga has something to do with the mind. A very, very small aspect, like Kathopanishad talks about senses, and Sanskrit word yuj, from where it is taken, is completely at a different level. It does not talk about mind, it does not talk about sense organs, it does not talk about the body, it does not talk about anything. It says the union of individual soul with the ultimate. is yoga. So these are the different definitions from different texts, different yogic texts. Now, let's look into what is spirituality. So I was going through browsing definitions of spirituality given by different gurus and different people who follow spirituality, out of which more or less most of them have defined spirituality based on their experiences, and all the definitions are slightly different. The meaning of the definitions are slightly different from each other. Like someone already mentioned, it's very difficult to explain it in words. It's difficult to put it in words. The best way to say it is there is no single way of defining spirituality. It is and one of the easiest ways for us to explain it is basically it is a way of life. That is, it is a way in which you cultivate or you culture your physical body, your mind, your emotions, your energies in a certain way that helps you to be more mindful, and that helps you to grow to be a better person, that helps you to be more soulful in your approach to everything that you do in your day-to-day life, that helps you to live in the present, to experience everything deeper, and that which will help you to go deep within yourself is spirituality, is what I can understand from various definitions that I have read through before giving this talk. Okay, so what now, before we go into other aspects of the talk for today.
Please mute. Somebody is making sound. Disturbance. Please mute.
Okay. So is spirituality different from yoga? What do you all think? Are these two different things, or are they connected to each other, or these two are completely different words, or both are same words with different titles, same meaning with two different names? What do you think it is? Is it the same? Do they have the same meaning? Are they two same things? Or are they two completely different things? What do you think? With whatever definitions we have read through all this while, what do you think? Are they the same? Are they different? Anyone can say this. You can unmute yourself. We saw the definition of yoga. We saw what spirituality is. Are they the two same things, or two completely different things, or are they connected to each other? What do you think? Anyone can answer.
When one is attained the yoga stage, it is he is in spiritual stage. So this is there's no difference. I think they are the same.
Very nice. Okay. So sir thinks there is no difference. Once you reach the state of yoga, you are already in that spiritual state. Yes. Anyone else wants to say anything? All right. So without any further delay, let's move on. So here, as we move on, we will slowly see what yoga is and understand the deeper meaning of yoga, and see if there's a clear-cut difference between spirituality and yoga. Okay. So some of the important yogic texts are Vedas, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Hatha Ratnavali, Giranda Samhita, Shiva Samhita, and Yoga Vasishta. So these are the very main yogic texts. I'll tell you why these texts are considered as yogic books. So Rig Veda mainly consists of hymns, prayers, and all those things, which is nothing but Bhakti Yoga. So in yoga, we have 4 parts. We have Jnana Yoga, we have Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Karma Yoga. So Rig Veda comes under Bhakti Yoga because Bhakti Yoga is all about rituals and prayers and all that. So this Rig Veda comes under Bhakti Yoga. Then Sama Veda is all about music and spiritual knowledge, and we talk about music therapy now, but it always existed. So music did a lot of things to people, and there's a lot of information about music and a lot more in Samaveda. So spiritual knowledge is nothing but Jnana Yoga, and music is a form of, we use music in Bhakti Yoga. So this has both Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Then we have Atharva Veda. It gives us information about how to cure diseases, which is nothing but Ayurveda is derived from Atharva Veda. And then we have building construction informations, through which we have massive, amazing architectural marvels available in India. So this technology was all derived from Atharva Veda, and they are, all of it. I don't have to explain how beautiful our Indian traditional temples and monuments are. And it has a lot of information about trade and commerce and black magic and a lot of things. So all these are more related to our daily lives, which we need. And it has information about rights for prolonging life, rights for fulfilling one's desires and all that. So so all this information is also required for our daily living. So, and then Yajurveda mainly consists of yagnas and yagas, which is again part of our Bhakti Yoga. Then Upanishads are mainly derived from the Vedas. So Upanishads are all in the form of stories. So we have the 10 major Upanishads which I have mentioned here: Ishavasya Upanishad, Kenopanishad, Kathopanishad, Prashnopanishad, Mundakopanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Aitareya, Chandogya, and Brihadaranyaka. Among all of these, Brihadaranyaka is the largest Upanishad. All of these are in the form of stories, and they give very, very deep knowledge that is there in these Vedas. They're all derived from the Vedas and transformed put into a creative story form, and the same essence is given in the form of a story. So, and they're all in the form of mantras. All these are in Sanskrit in the form of mantras. So all these mantras, all these shlokas or verses or mantras that are derived from these texts, basically man means mind, and tra is a vehicle or instrument which is used to drive you to the spiritual path. So that is what these mantras mean. So all of these come under yogic texts. So among the various Upanishads, I will today just focus on Mandukya Upanishad and Taittiriya Upanishad, and just tell you a little bit about what is there in these Upanishads in the easiest way possible. So Mandukya Upanishad it is one of the smallest, and it focuses on Omkara, and it talks about the 7 levels of consciousness, that is waking, Unmani, dreaming, Aladhani, and subconscious or Prajna, Samadhi, and Turiya state. So waking is right now what we are all awake, we are conscious, we are talking or we are listening. So the sound that is associated with waking state or external awareness is called the sound that is associated of the Omkara, A-Uma. Akara is always associated with the external experience, that is conscious experience. And here for yoga therapy, what we do is, for people who are mentally ill, people who are depressed and people who are going through anxiety and all that, they're too inward, they are already too lost within themselves. We need to get them outside and make them be available to the external world. That is, we need to improve their consciousness. Their external consciousness has to be improved. For such people, we always introduce Akara chanting so that their external awareness becomes more. Then we have the Unmani state, which is a transition from waking to dream state. So slowly, from waking, like you're awake now, before you fall asleep, there is this small, very short phase of there's a short time where you go through this phase where you're neither sleeping nor awake nor aware of your body, but you can partially hear things around you. That is a transition phase from between sleep and dream and all that. So that is Unmani. And then you have the dreaming state, which is the unconscious or Tejasa, subtle state. And the sound that is associated with it is Ukara, from the Omkara. Then you have the transition phase, wherein you go into the deep sleep, which is a subconscious state, Prajna state. And the sound which is associated here is Makara. So Makara is given to people who do not get sleep. So Brahmari, for example, is given to people who cannot sleep.
So I was talking to you about Bhagavad Gita. So all the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita are named after yoga. So if you can see the slides, beginning from the first chapter to the 18th chapter, each and every chapter is named after yoga. So this is considered as one of the major yogic texts in the field of yoga. So coming to Patanjali Yoga Sutras, there are 4 chapters in this: Samadhi Pada, Sadhana Pada, Vibhuti Pada and Kaivalya Pada. So in this we have first the Samadhi Pada, where a lot of information is given on what exactly is yoga and what are the different qualities you require to become a yogi or to practice yoga, or the obstacles that are in the path of yoga. And then in the Sadhana Pada, second chapter, you have Kriya Yoga, which is internal cleansing. I will talk more about it soon. And we have Ashtanga Yoga, that are 8 limbs of yoga, that also I will tell you, and Kleshas. We will learn more about it. So the 9 obstacles in the yogic path is physical illness, lack of interest or enthusiasm in anything, doubt and carelessness, negligence, physical laziness, desire for sense objects. So all these things will actually stop us from going towards the spiritual path. Then living under an illusion most of the time and missing the point, or inability to if you have achieved something, or if you have reached a certain level of achievement and if you can't sustain yourself in that state, or you start declining at one point of time in your life. So that is also an obstacle, because it's very important to be consistent in whatever you're doing. Then the other one is to maintain goals, like if you have achieved something, to stay on and maintain there. And coming to the 8 limbs of yoga, so we have yamas, niyamas, pranayama, asana, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana and samadhi. So if you see, asana is the third step in the third limb of 8 limbs of yoga. So asanas are just one part of the 8 limbs. So before even we start asanas, we should understand how and why we have to follow the yamas and niyamas. Yamas are like restraints, like ahimsa, satya, brahmacharya, asteya and aparigraha. So these so satya, all of you know, speaking the truth. So all of this is mentioned in all religious books, holy books. It's just that all good things basically we just need to follow. And niyamas are observations that we have to maintain, that is saucha, cleanliness, santosha, constant happiness of the mind, and tapas, swadhyaya and ishvara pranidhana. Swadhyaya is learning the knowledge of self. Then you have the asanas. Asanas, according to Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the definition that is given is stiram sukham asana. So any asana that you do, once you get to the asanas, if you are able to stay there stably, if you are able to stay there stably without any discomfort, physical or psychological discomfort, like if you're feeling agitated sitting in that position, you're still not in the asana. Once you get to the asana, staying still and staying without getting agitated or without any discomfort is asana. So if you are doing an asana, if you are struggling to be in an asana, you're still not doing an asana. if you're just trying to get to the asana. So once you get to the asana, you should ideally feel comfortable in that position. Only then it is called an asana. Then pranayama. So pranayama, here it is not just at a physical level. So pranayama, yes, it benefits the physical body at a great extent, and also in the pranic level, in the pranamaya kosha, it regulates the flow of prana. So there are different types of pranayamas which have different functions in the body. So accordingly, pranayama is associated with prath and the pranamaya kosha. Then pratyahara, that is turning inward and trying to cut yourself from physical objects, that is all your desires and all your materialistic things. So you have to be in this world, live in this materialistic world, but not yet attached to it, just like the lotus flower, like the lotus plant. So that's pratyahara. And dharana is concentration. So a good amount of concentration could lead to dhyana. So dharana is the next step. So complete concentration on anything that you're doing. Suppose you're listening now, 100% concentration on the listening. If you're talking, 100% concentration on what you're talking. Complete focus on one thing. If you're doing some work, complete focus on that. So that is dharana, 100% focus on whatever you're doing. So this could lead to meditation, because when you're focusing on one thing for a long time, what happens is you are focusing your mind on one thing, not allowing the other thoughts to come through. So this is very important for meditation, for dhyana. So once you train your mind not to think of anything else, it's very easy to get into that meditative state. So after dharana comes dhyana, and then samadhi. Samadhi is oneness with all living things. You feel one with everything. That is samadhi. Those are the 8 limbs of yoga. Shad Kriyas is mentioned in the 2nd chapter of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So here what it says is Kapalabhati, Trataka, Jalneti, Dauti, Nauli and Vasti or Basti are the cleansing techniques which help in cleaning the internal parts of our bodies. So Kapalabhati is a cleansing breathing technique which helps in removing impurities from our lungs and our respiratory system. And Trataka is eye exercise which removes impurities from the inside of the eyes and helps in, if you have power, it helps in maintaining the eye power. Then Jalneti is upper nasal cavity cleaning. That is, you pour water into one nostril and you can get it out of the other nostril. Of course, all this has to be done with a trained professional. It is not advisable to do it on your own if you're doing it for the first time. Gel neti, there is sutra neti also, where you take the catheter, insert it through the nostrils and take it out of the mouth. So this cleans the nasal cavity completely. Then you have dauti, cleaning of the intestine and the abdominal region. It helps in exercising that. So there is Vaman dauti, wherein you drink saline water. There are different types of dautis. So Vaman dauti is one good example which easily can be done by everyone. You drink saline water quickly to fill your abdomen completely, and then do one Kapalabhati, or you can put your fingers into your mouth and just vomit the whole thing outside. So it cleans the inner walls of your stomach. Any impurities sitting inside the walls of the stomach will easily come out. And after doing Vaman Dauti, it's very important to keep the stomach empty even without water for at least half an hour, because when you do Vaman Dauti, the inner layers, the mucus layer and all the acids and everything that are secreted are completely out of the system. And once it's out, the moment you drink water, because the innermost layer, the surface layer of the stomach is fully exposed to whatever you're eating. Otherwise, what happens, all the mucus layer and the acids are all covering the inner walls of the stomach. So it takes about half an hour for the mucus to completely develop on the inner walls of the stomach, and also for all the acids to get secreted. So we have to wait for at least half an hour before you even drink water or eat anything after doing Vaman Dauti. Then Nauli is again for cleansing of internal digestive system. Then Basti is enema, so cleaning of the rectum, anus, and the large intestine. So all of you must be very familiar with enema. So I'll move on to the next one, kleshas. So kleshas are avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha. So these are the 5 kleshas, which means delusion, egoism, attachment, repulsion, and will to live. All these are kleshas, considered as kleshas in the yogic terms. Then we have the 3rd and 4th chapter, which talk about samyama and samyama. So if we go back to the 13th slide, so here you can see dharana, dhyana, and samadhi as last 3 steps or last 3 limbs of yoga. So here what happens is in samyama, samyama means dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, all 3 put together. That is, you concentrate, you meditate, and you go to a state. You concentrate on a particular part of the body, meditate on that particular body, and then you go to a certain stage in samadhi where, if you do so, you get certain siddhis. So that is what is mentioned in this Vibhuti Pada. Then Kaivalya Pada is all about how you different types of samadhis are mentioned in Kaivalya Pada, and how you attain liberation is mentioned in Kaivalya Pada. So there are different siddhis that are acquired by different yogis. It need not be just the yogis, it could be people who are around us also. So actually people who acquire in the spiritual path, everyone is bound to acquire these siddhis or occult power. But then the thing is, that is not the actual thing. That is just a distraction in the path of yoga. Like for us, we have at our level as of now, the challenge is we have a lot of money, we have a lot of exciting things around us that could lead us to a wrong path. So it is our challenge to walk, no matter what, to walk through the right path. The same way, these siddhis are just distractions. Of course, they give a lot of power. You can do a lot of things with these siddhis, but then ideally it's advisable not to use these siddhis unnecessarily. Therefore, this is considered as one of the distractions in the path of yoga, in the path of spirituality. Then comes samadhis, or in the Kaivalya Pada, or the last chapter of Patanjali Yoga Sutras. It talks about sampragnata samadhi and asampragnata samadhi, which is also called savikalpa or nirvikalpa. So savikalpa is the first level of samadhi and nirvikalpa is the second level of samadhi. So in the first level, you are still in touch with the physical world, and savitarka is your thought forms and objects with your words are associated with the thought forms and objects. And asmita samadhi is the yogi becomes established in one pointed state, like dharana mainly. And then savichara, that is a state of samadhi concerned with subtle objects extended up to prakriti, the source of manifestation. And sananda samadhi is almost like nirvikalpa samadhi, first stage of nirvikalpa samadhi. Then nirvitarka is the state in which the mental alterations are. So here in this nirvikalpa samadhi, what happens is that there's complete disconnect with the physical world in this state of samadhi. So here, once the person reaches this complete there won't be contact with the physical world. They're completely lost in samadhi most of the time, and true one pointed concentration becomes at the most priority, and finally they become one with the Almighty. So coming to conclusion, so here yoga and spirituality, from all that we have learned, we can say that yoga and spirituality go hand in hand. So yoga shows the path in which yoga shows a systematic way to reach these samadhi levels, wherein you treat your physical body, you clean your physical body inside out first, then you treat your pranamaya kosha by doing your pranayama, which makes the energies move easily and clears your mind, and therefore it makes it easy for dharana, dhyana, samadhi, pratyahara, whatever it is the next stages. It makes your path more simple and easy if yoga is followed, yogic path is followed. The spiritual path becomes a little more easy. So yoga brings about a deeper understanding of self. So it helps you go deep within yourself and understand yourself. In the spiritual path, that is very important. That is one of the most important things. So yoga helps you do that. So this is the connection between yoga and spirituality. So yoga and spirituality, both of them go hand in hand. Yoga makes this spiritual life a little more systematic and a little more disciplined, which makes the spiritual path a little more smoother, and yoga helps in deeper understanding of self. So these are the things that I have mentioned. If you would like to add anything more, you're most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Swathi Reddy, for your talk and useful information on yoga. Yoga is not just another exercise, but it is the connector of our ourself to the higher self. Thank you all attendees of the session. We will organize more such sessions and intimative. Thank you.